بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه أما بعد فإن خير الكلام كلام الله وخير الهدى هدى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. When we look back historically at the lives of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and those people who he gave dawah to, his companions, may Allah be pleased with him, we find that the people who listened to his call and to his da'wah, they embraced al-Islam and they accepted al-Islam. And when they accepted al-Islam, they embraced based upon 4 different ways. And everyone here as well has come into the religion of al-Islam based upon these 4 ways that the companions, may Allah be pleased with them, came into the deen. The first way that you find those companions entering into the religion of Islam was that there were those from amongst them who did not come into Islam right away, but they took their time to consider and to contemplate about the message of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And after he made things clear to them, or things were made clear to them based upon knowledge and based upon conviction, they embraced the religion. That example is plentiful from amongst them. Those people who embraced Islam from his companions based upon knowledge. They didn't follow other people. They didn't say, because my mother and my father became Muslims, I'm going to become a Muslim. Because Muhammad is my relative, I'm going to become a Muslim. They embraced Islam because they had knowledge of what the Prophet was calling to, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. An example of that, and I encourage all of you to go back and to read his story, is the Islam of the companion Salman al-Farisi. Salman radiallahu anhu, and now is not the time to go through the details of his Islam, but he spent quite a bit of time searching for the truth. And although people were trying to mislead him, especially those who were his teachers, he remained persistent and consistent in his quest and his search for the deen. Until finally, when he met the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he had enough information to know if he's really a Nabi and a Rasul, if certain things would happen. So in the first incident, he came and he wanted to give the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam some sadaqah or zakat. He sent him some food and he said, this is sadaqah. And the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam refused, and he gave it to his companions and they ate from it. The next day Salman came and he gave him some food and he said, this is a gift, a hadiyah. And the Prophet ate the food. Those were 2 signs that Salman knew if he is really a prophet, then this is what he's going to do. And then the 3rd day, Salman al-Farisi was trying to look at the back of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam so that he can see the stamp of An-Nubuwah and the stamp of the Risala. He's the Khatam of the Anbiya and the Rasul, and he has something on his back that proved and indicated that. The Prophet saw Salman al-Farisi looking for this thing, and then he said, here it is. This is the 3rd one. So the way and the reason why Salman al-Farisi knew all of that is because he searched. He had knowledge. And that was the case with many of the companions. Another individual who embraced Islam like that was the Najashi from Al-Habasha, from Ethiopia. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam sent letters to all of the leaders of the area at that time. He sent a letter to the king of Persia, to the ruler of Egypt, to this Najashi there in Ethiopia. He sent letters to the leader of Rome. Some of them respected the letter, others disrespected the letter. The one who respected the letter was this man, the Najashi. that he read about the dawah of Islam. After that, the Muslims went to make hijrah. The first Muslims made hijrah to Ethiopia. And then when the non-Muslims sent some people after them to bring them back, the Muslims sought the protection of the Najashi. The Kuffar Quraysh came and they told the Najashi, you know these people were with you and they're seeking your protection right now? These people, they divided the people where they come from, our people. That was the kalam of the people of Mecca who came to bring them back. They said that these people, they oppose the religion of their forefathers. These people are causing fights to erupt between the father and the son, the mother and the daughter. So the advisors of the Najashi, without listening to the Muslims, they said to the Najashi, send them back. These people are no good. Send them back. The Najashi said, should I send back a group of people who I didn't hear their side of the story? Going to show the importance of always hearing the other side of the story. It's not permissible no matter what. Your friend told you something, you can't accept it and believe it just because he's your friend. The imam, the sheikh, your mother, your father, your sister, the newspaper, they tell you something, you can't just believe it like that because it's not revelation from the sky. The only thing that we believe without questioning it is the Qur'an and the Sunnah, and that's it. So we have those Muslims, unfortunately, if the non-Muslims in the newspaper, they say this, they say that, they'll believe it just like that. But if the Qur'an and the Sunnah says something similar, this or that, they say, I don't believe that. It has to be proven to me. This goes against science, it goes against nature, other than that. So the Najashi said to those people, tell me, what is it that your religion is calling to? So the one who spoke was Jafar ibn Abi Talib. He said, our religion and our Nabi, he calls us to worship Allah alone, because we were a group of people who used to worship all of these idols. We used to bury our daughters alive. We used to commit zina, adultery, and we used to drink. We used to break the ties of relation. The strong would oppress the weak. We didn't take care of one another. The Najashi said, okay, let me hear something of what has been revealed to this Nabi of yours. Jafar ibn Abi Talib could have mentioned anything in the Qur'an. He could have read the ayats of riba. He could have read the ayats of the virtues of Mecca. But he read the statement of Allah Ta'ala, قُلْ يَا أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ تَعَالَوْا إِلَى كَلِمَةٍ سَوَاءٍ بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَكُمْ أَلَّا نَعْبُدَ إِلَّا اللَّهَ وَلَا يَتَّخِذَ بَعْضُنَا بَعْضًا أَرْبَابًا مِنْ دُونِ اللَّهِ فَإِنْ تَوَلَّوْا فَاشْهَدُوا بِأَنَّا مُسْلِمُونَ. Tell them, O Ahl al-Kitab, come to a word that is equal between us and you, a word that we Muslims understand and a word that you understand as well. And that word is, let us not worship anyone but Allah. And let us not make shirk with Allah. And let us not take each other as laws along with Allah. And if you turn away from what we're calling to, then bear witness that we're Muslims. And he read other ayats from this particular surah. When the Najashi heard that, he said to them, this, what you're reading, the source of it is the same source that came from what was revealed to Musa and Isa. And he embraced Islam because he already had knowledge. He knew what he was doing. That's how the companions embraced the deen of Allah. And whoever embraces the deen of Islam like this, usually he's going to come into the religion and he's going to hold on to the religion. He's not going to sell his deen for a miserable price. If he comes into religion based upon knowledge and conviction, usually he's going to remain in the deen and he's going to be multazim with his religion. And that's what happened when the Prophet died, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The people who knew him in Mecca and Medina, who were taught by him and they embraced Islam like this, none of them apostated. When he died, the people who apostated were the Arabs and the Bedouins of the desert, who just became Muslims for whatever reason. So this is the best way. Those brothers who embraced Islam and the reverts to the religion of Al-Islam, usually if the reversion, the conversion to the deen was based upon knowledge, conviction, the person makes this intelligent decision, usually he'll remain upon the truth. The second way that the companions came into the religion, Ikhwani, is that they were impressed with the personality of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. They didn't know much about Allah. They didn't study the religion. They just knew him, and they knew that he was an individual who brought the truth. He was an individual who brought the truth. And that he was an individual who nothing comes from him except good. And even to this day, right now, people embrace Islam based upon the first way, based upon knowledge and conviction. And people embrace Islam because of the personality of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If you read a biography of any of these famous human beings who lived, any famous human being, you'll find in their biographies good things, you'll find in their biographies bad things. But with the Prophet of Islam sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you don't find anything in his biography except those things that show and indicate that he's an individual that only brought khair to the people. So look what happened when Jibril came to him, and Jibril revealed to him those ayat, Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq, and he went back to his house and he told the people, Zammiluni, Zammiluni, wrap me up. Khadija came and she said, what's the problem? He told her the story. The angel came to me, he gave me these ayat, he looked like this, and the Prophet was terrified for himself. As for those narrations that said that the Messenger of Allah wanted to throw himself off of the mountain, then that's not authentic. A person who wants to commit suicide doesn't deserve to be a Nabi or a Rasul. Intelligent people, they don't want to commit suicide. The man who is qawi, the woman who is strong, the man who is strong, they don't contemplate committing suicide because no matter what's going on with the problems in their lives, they know that, inshallah, there's always a way out. That with the difficulty there's going to be ease. So don't believe that narration that said he wanted to throw himself off of the mountain. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told Khadija what happened. Khadija, without even knowing about Allah, without knowing about Islam, she said, لَن يُخْزِيَكَ رَبُّكَ. Allah is not going to make you low. Allah is not going to forsake you, Ya Muhammad. Why? Because you help the weak. You connect the ties of relationship. You have a lot of patience for the truth. And what you believe in, you're patient with establishing the truth. When your guests come, you are very honorable and generous and hospitable towards your guests. She started to mention all of those good things about him. So based upon his character, his personality, what she saw from him, she knew without knowing much about his dawah, don't worry, Allah is not going to let you down. So it was because of his personality, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah Ta'ala also in another ayah, concerning the wives of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he had multiple wives, as you all know. He put to them a proposition in Surah Al-Ahzab. Allah told the Prophet to tell his wives, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi, قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا النَّبِي قُلْ لِأَزْوَاجِكَ إِن كُنتُنَّ تردن الحياة الدنيا وزينتها فتعالين أمتعكن وأسرحكن سراحا جميلا وإن كنتن تردن الله ورسوله والدار الآخرة فإن الله عد للمحسنات منكن جزاء عظيم أجرا عظيما. Tell your wives, Ya Muhammad, Ya Nabi, tell your wives, if any of you want this dunya and the beauty of the dunya, then come, I'll give it to you and I'll free you, I'll divorce you and I'll give you all that you want from the dunya. And any of you, if you want Allah, His Messenger and the hereafter, then Allah has prepared for the ones who have ihsan from amongst you a ajr that is azim. He told each wife this. Every single wife said, I want Allah, His Messenger and the hereafter. Because each one of them knew his background. Each one of them knew. Here is a man who only good comes from him. Even our mother Aisha radiallahu anha, who the non-Muslims, when they research the life of Rasulullah, they say he's a pedophile. He used to mess with young kids. As Muslims, we know that the prophets, just like they don't commit suicide, they don't do things like that are not acceptable in society. They don't do things like that. But even if Aisha was forced to get married, radiyallahu anha, here was an opportunity for her to get out of the marriage. If you want the dunya and the zina, I'm going to give you all of the money. And if I don't give it to you, you could turn around and say, Muhammad is not a true Nabi, he's a liar. He didn't give it to me, he said he would give it to me. So he said to her, go back to your mother and your father and get their advice. Before you make a decision, go back and get the advice. She said, I don't need the advice of my mother and my father. I'm making my decision right now. I want Allah, I want His messenger, and I want the hereafter. Those ladies and other than those ladies, may Allah be pleased with them, they embraced Islam based upon one of the reasons, based upon what they knew of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the people today, Ikhwani, non-Muslims, they write about personalities and they chose the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to be the first and most influential human being ever. Who are the 100 most influential people who walked on the face of the earth. They wrote and they put number 1 at the top of the list, Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And whether the people like it or they don't like it, his religion, his personality, his followers, they are going to be and they will continue to be a force that they're going to have to reckon with. Unfortunately right now, the people have to deal with the Muslims based upon a lot of negativity. But the time is going to come where they're going to have to deal with this ummah, and they will continue to have to deal with this ummah because al-Islam and the da'wah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is not going away. So the people embrace Islam based upon its akhlaq. We have a responsibility in the way we behave, in the way we act, to give the people a good picture of what al-Islam is, what our religion is calling to. The third way, Ikhwani, that the companions embrace Islam and people still embrace Islam is based upon the miracles, the mu'jizat that were given to the Prophet, and they are many. This was not something peculiar to him. Allah will give the Prophet mu'jizat, as he said in the authentic hadith, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, ma min nabiyyin illa wa utiya min al-ayat ma amana alayha an-nas wa innama utitu al-Qur'an. وَأَرْجُوَ أَنْ أَكُونَ أَكْثَرُهُمْ تَبَعًا يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. There's not a Nabi except that Allah gave him these ayat, these mu'jizat, that caused the people to believe in that Nabi. He said, I have been given the Qur'an. This is my mu'jizat. And I hope Yawm al-Qiyamah I will have the majority of the followers because of this mu'jizat. This is one of the many mu'jizat. One of the many mu'jizat. During the time of the Prophet, people used to see the mu'jizat and they embraced Islam. And there were many, like the Christian man. There was a man who was a Christian, he became a Muslim. He memorized Surah Al-Baqarah. He memorized Surah Ali Imran. He memorized Surah Al-Ma'idah. And those ayat that dealt with Isa ibn Maryam, he took his time to memorize them. And in addition to that, the Prophet used him to write down the revelation. He was one of the few people who were allowed to write the Qur'an down when it was revealed. He decided to apostate. So he left the religion. And then he went out and he said to the people from Ahlul Kitab, you know this Qur'an that Muhammad is saying is revealed to him? I'm the one who wrote it all for him. No revelation came to him. I made it up. I made this stuff up. Allah Azza wa Jalla caused the man to die. Some narration said he was on his riding animal, his horse. Horse knocked him over, kicked him in his head, knocked his brains out. So he died. After dying, the people buried him in the nighttime. When they came out in the morning, the man's body was outside of the earth. They said, look what Muhammad and his companions did. They're mad. They're upset that the man left their religion. They buried him deeper. The next day they came, the man's body was outside of the earth. They said, look how angry Muhammad and his companions are because the man left his religion. So they buried him deep in the earth, and they put guards around the grave. This hadith is Sahih Muslim. They put guards around the grave. Allah Azza wa Jalla caused the guards to go to sleep at night. The body was thrown out. The people came in the morning. They said, this is not from Muhammad and his companions. This is a mu'jizah. And many of the people from Ahlul Kitab, because of that, they embraced Islam. They knew this is beyond the ability of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that's one of the many mu'jizat, which goes to show a number of things. As Allah mentioned in the Qur'an, وَاللَّهُ يَعْصِمُكَ مِنَ النَّاسِ. Allah told the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah will divinely protect you from the people, Ya Muhammad. The earth threw the man's body out because the earth is under the command of Allah. Allah will divinely protect the messenger of Allah. Allah's messenger, his personality, his religion is not in need of Muslims going crazy, trying to protect him and honor him. If they draw pictures, we're going to go to the house of the guy who drew the picture and then get shot up. That doesn't make any sense. If you get in the house and you kill the man, you made more fitna for yourself, your family, and the ummah, and the dawah of Islam. If you don't get inside the house, you may get killed. If you don't get inside the house, they shoot you up. It's the benefit of that. Allah will divinely protect this religion. Divinely. That doesn't mean that the Muslims sit and they don't do anything, but they make moves that are intelligent, moves that come under the shade of Al-Islam, what is acceptable. So the Qur'an, ikhwani, is the greatest miracle of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and to this very day. People who read the Qur'an with sincerity, when they read the Qur'an, there are issues in the Qur'an and in the authentic Sunnah that is no way possible someone could have known about all of these issues 1400 years ago. 1400 years ago. The Prophet told us that Yawm al-Qiyamah, the sun is going to be put inside of the knot of Jahannam. I don't care how much knowledge you have today. No one has the ability to comprehend. Allah didn't give the mind the ability to comprehend how big the knot of Jahannam is. May Allah protect us from the knot of Jahannam. No one has the ability to imagine how big it is. How big it is. He told us that every single person, the kuffar who goes into the knot of Jahannam, his molar tooth is going to be the size of Uhud. And there are a lot of people that are going to be in the knot of Jahannam. We don't have the ability to know how big it is. The sun will be put in the knot of Jahannam, and there'll be space. A lot of space left over. So when the Prophet ﷺ told us things like a man was thrown into the hellfire and it would take 70 years for him to hit the bottom of the hellfire. That's one of the ways in physics, the physics of today, that the Messenger of Allah during that time, they didn't measure how big the earth was or the sun was and other than that. But he said so many things and too many things that are indications that he was divinely inspired. No way in the world he's going to know all of those issues in the Qur'an. Those issues that are mentioned in the Qur'an that coincide with science. No way in the world an unlettered man can know that. So to this very day, I find people with sincerity, when they read the Qur'an and they read about his life, they read about how Allah helped him and they were weak and oppressed to take over the peninsula to the point right now that Muslims are all over the world. People with sincerity, they embrace the religion. They embrace the religion from this mu'jiza, which is the mu'jiza of the Qur'an. The fourth and final way that the companions came into the religion is the way many of you brothers have come into the deen. And that is that they were born in the religion and on the religion. And what was collected by Imam al-Bukhari and Muslim, Prophet sat with his companions sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he told them that there will be 70,000 people from this ummah who will enter into the Jannah and they won't have any adab and they won't have any hisab. And without saying anything else, he got up and he went into the house. So the companions began to make ijtihad. Who are those 70,000 people? They have to be from the awliya of Allah. They have to be from the special people. They're not the average Amr, Bakr and Zayd, Tom, Dick and Harry from the ummah. These have to be special people. Who are they? So those companions, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, those ulama and fuqaha, they made ijtihad. They said, they have to be, these 70,000, they have to be us, the companions, because no one's better than us from this ummah. And they didn't say that out of pride. They said that because that's what Allah said in the Qur'an, that's what Sunnah said. That no matter what a person does after them, they will never be able to reach and catch up to the companions. So the first group of companions said, the 70,000 people, they must be us. The second group said, no, maybe they're the people from our children and those who are going to come, who were born in Islam and raised in Islam. That goes to show that the companions knew for a person to be born in Islam and raised in Islam is virtuous. So I want to bring something to your attention, ikhwani, those of you who are born and raised in Islam. How many of you have embraced Islam? Put your hand up. If you reverted to the religion, if you embraced Islam, put your hand up. We don't have any reverts here. A person who reverts to the deen, who put his hand up? Someone put his hand up? Who was that? Hassan? Walaikum salam. MashaAllah. Hassan is from the Ghuraba today, from the Ghuraba. The people who embrace Islam, they have a virtue that people who were born and raised in Islam don't have. And that is Allah Azza wa Jalla has given them this divine ni'mah from the ni'mah that is khasa, special. He didn't choose that for everybody. There are people who are connected to Hassan who may be more intelligent than him. People who are connected to Hassan who may even have better character than him. They have more patience. They have more fortitude. Allahu Akbar. But Allah didn't guide them to Islam. From his family, his neighbors, his friends, He guided Hassan to Islam. May Allah Azza wa Jal keep Hassan and all of us on the deen of Allah. There are virtues in being a revert. You embrace Islam based upon knowledge, based upon conviction. So you don't play with your Islam a lot of times and just take it for granted. I'm just a Muslim, that's it. So you find a girl who embraces Islam, she'll put on hijab and then niqab, and she'll go to work like that the next day. Because she believes is Allah, Jahannam, Nar, is the haq, and so forth, so on. Not everyone does that. Whereas the girl who was born and raised in the religion, many times she won't wear hijab because she's just satisfied with who her name is, what her name is, who her parents are, what's her culture, and that's it. But the people who were born and raised in Islam, they also have virtues. One of their virtues is the fact that the companion said, they must be from the 70,000 people. The companion saw that as virtues. Our sons and daughters, and the Muslims who come after us, who didn't bury their daughters alive, who didn't drink khamr, who didn't make shirk. Although they make mistakes, they didn't make shirk, ever. We talk about extremism today, and it's amazing. You give a lecture about extremism, and all the people want you to talk about is Al-Qaeda and the Shabab and the people going crazy. That's extremism, no doubt. But the worst type of extremism, the worst extremism is for a person to say, Isa is Ibn Allah. Those people are extremists. And that's why when we pray every day and we ask Allah to guide us to the Sirat al-Mustaqim, Al-Islam, Al-Tawheed, Al-Iman, and everything other than that is extreme. It's away from the Sirat al-Mustaqim. So my point here, Ikhwani, is the one who is born and raised in Islam, that's a virtue that Allah Azza wa Jalla has blessed you brothers with that you shouldn't take it for granted. Wallahi. I don't know. Why is it that my mother, she doesn't see the reality of Islam and come to the deen, although she respects Islam and the Muslims? I don't know why my father, he doesn't see it. If one of you happen to be a non-Muslim, it may be that you would have never come to the religion. It may be that you would have never come to the religion. But because your parents were Muslims and you were born and you opened your eyes as a Muslim, your parents helped you to be Muslims. And that's one of the reasons, Ikhwani, why the parents have a tremendous right over you. Not to mention all the other stuff that they did for you. They could have just left you, they could have killed you, they could have buried you alive, did all that kind of stuff. But the greatest gift that they gave you was the gift of Al-Islam. And then some of you, your mother and your fathers are sending you to the masjid to memorize the Qur'an. Some of your parents are practicing Muslims. They're not perfect, but they're helping you by creating an environment where you see, don't do this and don't do that. Have etiquette and adab and so forth and so on. So I want to remind you again, and I can't remind you, all of you enough about thanking Allah Azza wa Jalla and giving Him the shukr for this particular ni'mah. The shukr, ikhwani, is different from the hamd. When we say alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, this hamd is something that you just say with your lisan. That's it. And it can be given because of a ni'mah that was given to you, or it could just be some praise. You can say, hamadtu rajul ala shuja'ihi. I praised the man because he was brave, he was generous. And you use the word hamd. It just comes from the lisan. It can be because of a ni'mah, someone gave you something, you said alhamdulillah, you got that. But it can be something that has nothing to do with the ni'mah that was given to you. I praise him because he is brave. But a shukr is different. A shukr comes only by the lisan, and you have to be thankful about it in your heart, and it has to come out on your limbs. That's the difference between alhamd and shukr. When our mother Aisha came, radiallahu anha, and the Prophet was praying, and his feet were swollen, she said, why do you do this? And Allah is forgiving you for the mistakes that you made in the past, and those that are going to come in the future. He said, Ya Aisha, afala akun abdin shakura. Should I not be a slave who gives shukr? Shukr is with your lisan. Shukr is having it in your heart, and it coming out on your limbs. You owe a debt of gratitude to your parents. You can't just say, Alhamdulillah for your parents. You have to make the shukr of Allah by saying that with your tongue and believing that they have virtues over you, and with your limbs paying them back. How do you pay them back? By saying to your mother, I'm sorry for being a knucklehead son. I've been giving you a lot of problems, Ummi, but you helped, you gave me life, you gave me the deen, all of you, without any exception. Why would the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam get on the minbar in the month of Ramadan and he said to the people, Ameen, and then he said Ameen, and then he said Ameen. They said, why did you say that, Ya Rasulullah? He said, because Jibril came to me, and Jibril said to me, one of the three things he said to me, may the person's nose be rubbed in the dirt. Raghin imri'in adraka walidayh aw ahaduhuma thumma lam yughfir lahu. May the person's nose be rubbed in the dirt, may be put down. A person who found his mother and his father, or one of them. Maybe one of them died and one is still living. He found his mother or his father, or one of them, and he didn't go to Jannah. May his nose be put in the dirt. He has an opportunity through his mother and his father to get into the Jannah by being thankful for what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed them with. Because again, and I repeat this. Had your parents changed your fitrah and changed your religion and you became a Christian or a Jew, an atheist, or whatever, no one here can guarantee that he would have came back to the religion. No one. Could have been like these people out here who were just kuffar. And if you did come back to the religion, it was because of the divine decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the point that we want to bring to your attention is that following the companions radiallahu anhum and understanding the religion and practicing the religion is something that is wajib, but people have different turuq in this, different ways that they go. But one thing that everybody will follow the companions in is that everyone follows the companions in one of these four ways and how the individual came to the religion of Al-Islam. So we want to remind you, have birr to your parents, get a grip, those things that you're doing. The one thing that deserves that a person makes tawbah from before most other things is to make tawbah from being a bad son or make tawbah from being a bad daughter. Because our parents are in a position where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure is in them being pleased with you. And I want to repeat again, as I said so many times, the brother, young brother, he's only 17. I don't know why he's thinking about this. How can I get married to a person that my parents don't want me to get married to? Who do you want to get married to, ya akhi? Well, it's not me, but my friend, he wants to marry a woman from Ahlul Kitab, and my parents are not happy with that. I say, ya akhi, listen to your parents. Listen to your parents. No woman is worth you marrying her and your mother and your father are upset with you. Your mother is upset with you and she cuts you off and she's not going to be a part of your life, or she's not going to be a part of the girl's life. No woman and no man is worth that. Your parents are irreplaceable. And the only way that a man could repay his parent, his father, is that if he were to find his father as a real slave. Someone owned his father, and then he came and he found his father like that, and then he purchased his freedom, and then he said to him, Ya Abi, you're free man now, you can do whatever you want. If someone was able to do that, he would have given his father his rights back. That's what the Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We're not in a position to do that. There's no slavery. The slavery that our parents are subjected to, slavery of worshiping other than Allah, the slavery of some of the other issues that are going on in their lives, like narcotics, alcohol, other than that. So save your father or your mother from those types of vices that have enslaved them. This is what we wanted to remind you, brothers, of. Next week, inshallah, we're going to resume our dars of Kitab al-Kaba'ir of Al-Imam al-Dhahabi, inshallah ta'ala. If you brothers have any questions concerning what we mentioned now, you could put your question forward. Where did Abudi go? Abdul Rahman, where did he go? Aywa, do you brothers have any questions? Hey, anybody want this tea? Here you go, little man. Here you go. Fadl. And give this one to you, my man, right there. Alright. Anybody want this other tea? Don't be shy. Fadl ya akhi. Hey, give this to my man right there. Anyways, baraka inshallah. Fadl ya akhi.
Basically, say for instance, the dua of the mother is usually accepted. She makes dua for her son, right? Say for instance, the mother got upset with you, but it wasn't her fault. You should make a dua. Is that dua accepted?
If the person didn't do anything, it's possible that her dua could be accepted. It's possible. And in her dua being accepted, it can just be a fitna for the individual. It's not Allah punishing him necessarily, or Allah Azza wa Jalla taking revenge from him. It can be a trial for him to see if he's a true believer. Like with the hadith of Jurayj, who was praying his sunnah prayer, and his mother came and called him, Ya Jurayj, Ya Jurayj. And he said, no, I'm going to keep praying. And he did that 3 days straight. And then the mother made dua, and Allah tried him. And Allah put you to test. And he was tried by the lady who was a prostitute. So he didn't do anything wrong. He was praying his sunnahs. He should have left the sunnah to listen to his mother, which was and is wajib. So the dua of the mother is accepted. Not only that, ikhwani, but the dua of the person who is oppressed, they have not actually hijab between him, his dua, and Allah, even if he happens to be a kafir. So it's possible that Allah Azza wa Jalla can accept the dua of the mother, and that's why he told the people, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, لا تدعوا على أنفسكم وَلَا عَلَى أَوْلَادِكُمْ وَلَا عَلَى أَمْوَالِكُمْ. Don't make dua against yourselves. Don't make dua against your children. Don't make dua against your money. So he becomes upset and wants to start his car. His car is his money. And something doesn't start, there's a problem, whatever, and he curses his car. Don't do that. Don't curse your house. Don't curse your child out of anger. So it is possible that Allah Azza wa Jalla can accept the dua, and it's a trial for the child. أَحَسِبَ النَّاسُ أَن يُتْرَكُوا أَن يَقُولُوا آمَنَّا وَهُمْ لَا يَفْتَنُونَ وَلَقَدْ فَتَنَّا الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ. So people are going to be tried, and this is one of the tests that can happen. So we should make dua. Now, my brother. If a person is praying the sunnah prayer and his parents are calling him, he should get out of the salat and go and tend to what his parents want. If he knows that his parents are going to be upset that he didn't come, then he should go. But if his parents have some fiqh and understanding of the deen, and he knows that the way his parent is, that if he continues to pray and he went to the parent and said, I was making salah, then the parent won't be upset, then go ahead and continue with salah. But if they're going to get upset with you, then the sunnah prayer is the sunnah, and listening to your parent is wajib, something that you have to do, something that you should do and you have to do. Any more questions, ikhwani fillah? We know, generally speaking, ikhwani, that the women tend to have more dhaf and weaknesses than the men. They're not complete. The Prophet told us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in their deen, and they're not complete in their aql. So as a result of that, because of the naqs or the deficiency that is there, that's how the creation of Allah Azza wa Jalla is, then the shaitan, he is more capable and more apt to get them. The children as well. So he told the people, when the sun goes down at Maghrib, then close your windows and bring in the children. He told us when you're going to have a relationship with your wife, make a dua for that child, because the child is da'if. He doesn't know how to protect himself from shaitan. So because of the way that they have been created, intellectually and physically, the jinn are able to impact upon them more. No doubt about that. Wallahu a'lam. If you go to the YouTube and you put in exorcism, Islamic exorcism, you'll see some amazing things with some ladies who have jilbab and things like that, total jilbab, and they're doing their thing while the man is reading the Qur'an upon them. And one of the things we have to do with our women folk is that we have to be protectors over them and not bring them to the charlatans who want to play games and manipulate their weaknesses. We have to defend them. We ourselves give them ruqyah. But if a person feels he doesn't know what he's doing, then he has to take him to a qari of the Qur'an, a person of the Sunnah, and stay with them and look at what the person is doing. If the person takes electricity and starts putting electricity on, say, no, you're not doing that to my sister. You're not doing that to my wife. What are you electrocuting her for? Where'd that come from? Because they electrocute them, they slap them around, and so forth and so on. So if you go to the YouTube and put in Islamic exorcism, you will watch it and you'll say, Subhanallah. If your wife, your sister, your daughter, if they watched it, they'll be afraid. Because that's how the Nisa'a. But that doesn't mean, Akhwani, that there are not men who the jinn don't play with. No. The jinn play with some men as well and make them do those things which are not acceptable. People who have the opposite, that is da'if. Aywa, any more questions, Akhwani? Salam alaikum.
What I heard from Gladys was that the person that has ruqyah done on them will not be part of the 75 people that will straight to heaven.
It's not correct. It's not correct. It's not correct. The hadith that we mentioned, 70,000 people will go into the Jannah without any adab and any hisab. The Prophet came out and he asked those people, what are you people talking about? They said, we were trying to figure out who those 70,000 people were. Ya Rasulullah, who went into the Jannah the way you described. He told them, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, anybody knows who they are? 4 groups. Anyone knows? Go without any adab and any hisab. Yes. Good. Good. Good.
Special material that takes away any disease, I think.
Yes. One more. Good job. He said, هم الذين لا يسترقون ولا يكتوون ولا يتطيرون وعلى ربهم يتوكلون. The 70,000 people who go to Jannah without any adab, any hisab, are the ones who don't ask other people do ruqyah. He doesn't ask, hey, can you do ruqyah on me? I'm sick. Number 2, they're the people who do not burn themselves, cauterization. Number 3, they're the people who are not superstitious. Number 4, they're the people who rely on Allah. So if it was the people who do ruqyah won't go to Jannah. The Prophet did ruqyah. Jibril did ruqyah on him. But he didn't say, Jibril do ruqyah on Hassan and Hussein. The Prophet did ruqyah on them. But they didn't say, Ya Rasulullah, do ruqyah on us. So it goes to show their high level of a tawakkul. A person is sick, something's wrong with him, he's just patient. If someone comes to him and visits him in the hospital or visits him in the house and he puts his hand on him and starts doing ruqyah on his own, that's the sunnah. That's what we should do. So because they didn't ask for it to be done, they will go into the Jannah without any adab and any hisab. For that reason, Imam Ahmed was of the opinion if a person gets sick, he should just be patient. You shouldn't even take medication. Don't take aspirin, just be patient. Because it'll clear you up it'll free you up of sin, it'll purify you for the Jannah and so on. But if a person wants to take the medication, then he can take the medication, because Allah never sent down a disease except that He sent with that disease its cure except one disease. What disease is that? One hadith said death, another one said old age. Any more questions? Ikhwani fillah.
Is it permissible to read Qur'an on a dead person?
Certain is you can read the Qur'an on a dead person, and this is not from the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and it is an innovation in the religion. The person is in the grave, and the people read the Qur'an over him. This is something that should not be done. But if a person's father or mother has died, grandmother, grandfather has died, and he wants to read the Qur'an and the reward goes to the mother or the father, then inshallah ta'ala they'll get that reward. They'll get that reward. So Allah ta'ala mentioned in the Qur'an, وَأَنْ لَيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى وَإِنَّ سَعْيَكُمْ سَوْفَ يُرَى. The person is only going to get that which he strove for, and verily your striving and your efforts are going to be seen. The Prophet says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Inna awladakum min sa'ikum." Your children are from your effort. You made effort, and you have a child now. This boy just didn't pop up like this. Someone made effort, so here he is. So when the child reads the Qur'an, he said, your children are from your efforts. So when the child reads the Qur'an, the mother and the father get that reward. As for us coming together and reading the Qur'an, you read some from the dead person. This has no dalil, and it's an innovation. And even for your own mother and father, taking the Qur'an and reading it over the grave is something that should be avoided. There's no dalil for something like that. And Allah is A'lam and A'lam. Are piercings haram? And where is the proof? Anyone who says that piercings are haram, they're the ones who have to bring the proof. So piercing is permissible for the lady to pierce her ears, to pierce those things that the Muslims are known to pierce. Could you please explain how it is haram, and if you do have too many piercings, what are the consequences? As I mentioned, if she has a lot of piercings in her ear, then it's permissible. Piercing her nose is part of what the Muslim women do. It's permissible. But there are aspects of piercings that the non-Muslims do that Muslims should avoid. Now is not time and place to mention that, because it's graphic. And we have all of these shabab here. Al-labib bil-ishara yafhamu. So the non-Muslims, they want to go overboard and they want to start piercing things that are beyond the limit. So the Muslims should avoid that. But if she has a lot of piercing on her ears, on her nose she has piercing, then this is something that is permissible. Can you explain what is the difference between wearing a scarf and abaya and wearing jubab? Can you explain the type of clothes a Muslim girl should wear? Yes, the Prophet told us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this is a strange thing, it's the responsibility of the men who are over these girls, over these women. Again, if you go to the internet, you'll see the girl from America, Somali girl, from Minneapolis, and they're young teenagers. One doesn't have any hijab with tight jeans on, and the other one has a scarf on, and she's talking about wearing hijab and making salah. And her concept of hijab was not the correct understanding of hijab. Hijab is not the khimar that's just right on your head, or some scarf that you put on your head. Prophet told the people, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, al-mar'atu awra. The woman is an awra. إذا خرجت استشرفها الشيطان. If she goes out, shaitan beautifies her. So the lady has to cover up her awra. And the awra is that which should not be seen. So she has to cover up everything except her face and her hands. And even if she covers it up, but it's tight fitting or it's transparent and it shows the contours of her body, this is not the hijab of Islam. The Prophet told the people sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that there will come some people in this ummah, women, who will be dressed but they'll be naked because of the way they are dressed. You can see everything about her mahasin. You can see if she's skinny, if she's thick or whatever. You can see the size of everything, because although she has clothes on, the jeans are very tight. The shirt and the sweater is very tight. You see everything about it. So there's something that is not the hijab. So the jilbab has been commanded in the Qur'an. The jilbab is that thing that the girl, it totally, absolutely covers everything, so that when the people look at her, they can't get an idea. They can't get an idea of her mahasin, how her breasts are, how her hips are, how her thighs are. If she's wearing clothes and people can see the size of her breasts and her hips by just looking at her, she's not fulfilling the requirements of wearing the proper hijab. The khimar is different from the scarf. The khimar goes over her face, covers her ears, her neck, her hair, everything is covered. The only thing that's being shown is her face. So just to tie the thing on the head, especially the way some of our girls, our women do it, it's not the correct way. So we have a responsibility, ikhwani, of educating them on this particular issue. So with that, we'll bring this to a close with this last question, inshallah. This person said here, who has more rights over you, your mother or your husband? Your mother or your husband? There's ikhtilaf between the scholars of Islam concerning this particular issue. And it appears that it depends on what's going on. Generally speaking, the mother has more rights over you. Because they asked that question, Ya Rasulullah, who has more rights over me? You say, your mother, then who? Your mother, then who? Your mother, then who? Your father. But then we know if the girl gets married, the person who has the most rights over the girl, over the man, the most rights over the girl, is her husband. He becomes the wali, even over the father. If the husband tells the girl, don't go visit your father, and the father says to the girl, come and visit me, she has to listen to her father, to her husband. She has to listen to her husband. So generally speaking, the mother has more rights that she gives her al-ihsan, more rights that she has the good suhbah, dealing with the mother, giving her a haqq, being patient with the mother, and so forth and so on. But in terms of obedience, the father has the husband has more rights over her. The husband commanded her to do something, and her mother or father commanded her to do opposite to what the husband said. She has to listen to the husband. She has to listen to her husband. That's from the haqq of the husband, and that's why the sister has to take her time in choosing who she's going to marry, so that if she marries the man who really fears Allah, he'll know how to deal with her situation. He'll never put her in that compromising position where she'll have to listen or choose between obeying this or that one. He's the type of person who will educate her and deal with her in a way in which, when it comes to choosing between him or the parents, he'll be able to explain and educate her why she has to listen to him, or when it's okay to listen to them. May Allah make it easy for us all, ikhwani, to obey him, to obey our parents, to obey those who have been put in authority over us, and may He help us to be good students in the school, and may Allah Azza wa Jal help those brothers who are trying to get married, to make it easy for the brothers and sisters to get married, put ease in their situation, in their mothers and fathers' heads and their hearts, and may He protect those of us who are married, may He protect our marriages and protect us from divorce and the problems and the mashakil that come from the divorce. هذا وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. والسلام عليكم.